Morning. Good morning. Am I on? Hello? Hello? It's on. Doesn't sound the same up here with our new speakers. Good morning, and it is a great day, isn't it? How lucky we all are to come together today and love each other, hug each other, learn together. Such a fabulous day. So, is there anyone here for the very first time? Welcome. We have a newcomer's table at the back. We have little blue slips of paper. If you'd like to fill out your information on there, take it to the bookstore. There's a gift for you. And with your email address, we just, if it's okay with you, we keep you up to date as what's going on each week at Unity of London. And Unity was founded on 5 basic principles. But first, before we get to those principles, we're going to... Somebody once had a vision. We should have 5 principles. But worldwide, within Unity, I believe the majority of the Unities are using and affirming this vision. So together, let's affirm this vision. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And to do that, our mission here at London, we determined that is, we are a loving, inclusive community, co-creating with spirit to transform lives. Okay, so much for the
welcoming a mystery guest with us.
Ooh, mystery. Who is that great-looking guy? Would you like to stand and sing?
Swing wide. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what the
mystery guest.
Good morning. Welcome to prayer time. Unity's foundation is affirmative prayer. If you wish prayer for someone else or for yourself, you are invited to use our prayer box at the front. Put a first name only on a piece of paper and place it in the box. No need to explain the situation, as God is all-knowing. It will be prayed over here at Unity by our prayer angels for 30 days, and then sent on to Silent Unity for additional prayer. Remember, 24 hours a day, you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY to reach Silent Unity, where people have been praying with and for people for over 130 years. If you wish private one-on-one prayer, we have a prayer chaplain, Patty Keffer, available to pray with you following today's service. You can meet Patty in the prayer room at the back of the fellowship room. Now, if you just follow through the room and up the stairs, you'll be right there. Patty.
As we come together, we open our hearts, our minds to that divine being. And as we open our hearts, we feel the love as it flows through us, through this congregation, through the internet, through Facebook, through everyone around the world. And it centers us in this peace and love. And as we are centered in this, we bring love and understanding to everyone we meet this day. We ask blessings for all spiritual communities and gatherings that are taking place around this world, especially for Unity of Greater Hamilton, Unity of Kitchener, Unity of Durham. And now we take a moment in that deep silence to think of those who might need a little extra love today, and also those who have love that we know, and we whisper their name in this space. We remember that divine intelligence is our inner source. And today we ask for that guidance and that love to fill us, flow through us to everyone we meet. And so it is.
Thank you, Patty. And now, a message from the Daily Word. Peace in my life is my contribution to peace in the world. Reading or watching the news today may cause you to feel frustrated and angry. It would seem that there is little I can do to affect events in the world. Surely world peace lies beyond my abilities. Yet I know and affirm that all life is an expression of spiritual consciousness. My every thought plays a vital role in determining not only how my life will unfold, but what I am contributing to the collective consciousness. The peace I choose to express in my life resonates into all creation. As today unfolds, I welcome every opportunity to stop and center myself. Through my spiritual willingness, I contribute to peace in the world. And from John 16:33, I have said this to you so that in me you may have peace. In the world you face persecution, But take courage. I have conquered the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, a man who needs no introduction at Unity, our mystery guest for today.
All right. Okay, first of all, good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be back at Unity of London, my extended family and friends. And I'm going to be back on October 14 to do a Sunday service in the morning and as well do the Love Boat event, sing at the Love Boat event. So I invite you all to get your tickets. It's being sold today. Please see Wilda later on. And that's my little promo. So now I'd like to share with you a song. I spoke to Pauline, and the title of her talk is about the inner voice and our inner guidance. So I want to share with you that the way that before I sing this song anyway, the way that I connect with spirit and my inner voice, especially when I am in doubt or I feel unprepared or I feel lost or uncertain, I surrender to the moment and I remember and I claim the truth that I am one with God. And so here is the song. Okay, long story short, all right, thank you, bye-bye. God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Woo! Yeah, that's it. God, you are every sunrise. God, you are every moon glow. God, you are every star shine, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every springtime. God, you are every snowfall. God, you are every season, every second of my life. Woo! Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. 'Cause you are the very breath I breathe, and your perfect love created me. Woo! Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, sing it with me. Everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything
Good morning again, and I just love that picture. How often do you go back there, Pauline? Oh. So I don't know that she really needs an introduction. Our speaker, as you know, today is our one and only and our very own Pauline Duncan Thrasher, but I was sent an order, so I will follow it. Pauline has been an active member of Unity of London as well as a prayer chaplain since 2012. As a lifelong learner, she continues to take upgrading courses to enhance spiritual life and is an avid reader of spiritual literature. Please help me welcome our own Pauline Duncan Thrasher.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Sylvia. I had thought about changing the photo, and it looks as though, am I listening to the horse? And in truth, if we think about Emilio's beautiful song, everything around us can give us a message if we are open and ready to hear that. And I see a lovely friend in the community. Yay, Jimmy. Welcome. I was going to start in a sort of a cute way and pretend I was talking, and then poor Ed would think the microphone wasn't working, just so you could say, is she saying something? And I would say, psst, are you listening? But enough of that. There are so many occasions in our lives, my life, your life, I'm sure Jimmy and Carlin's, and I know dear Emilio, when there are messages coming to us from inside and we miss them because we're too monkeyed up with all the world's business, with all the din. And a lot of the din comes from inside our own heads. When I prepared this presentation, I started out with Oprah's book, Wisdom of Sundays, which I'll be sharing in a few moments, because it was Oprah who came up with the term, or she describes it so well, your spiritual GPS. Now, I was with a friend on Friday. We were driving to a workshop out of town. She had her GPS on and just turned on lightly, but she could hear it. And what happened? We got so engaged in our conversation that it said turn right, and I heard it say turn right. She just kept going ahead. And then she said, oh, I guess I missed it. And that happened a few times. And that's okay because it's just driving a car, and eventually we got to where we were going. But what happens if we don't listen to that wondrous inner divine spirit urging us to go this way, and our ego says, no, I want to go that way? This can happen. And when I was preparing this, and I said to my husband, Dan, I'm ending up with a lot about ego. Someone in this room will recognize that term because someone in this room was very close to someone who used to talk about ego a lot. And Dan said, oh, he was talking about this years ago, Pauline. And I said, yes, but ego is always with us. So I'll share what Oprah had to say because it's revealing. This is from the Wisdom of Sundays. By the way, welcome to anybody who's not in this room but might listen later on. But my heart is with the people who are in this room, I must tell you, because you made the effort to come out. The meaning of wisdom for me, says Oprah, is recognizing the moment when what you know aligns perfectly with what you feel. When what you know aligns perfectly with what you feel, mind and heart. I call that persistent knowing our spiritual GPS. It acts as our internal compass, designed to help us move through life no matter what distractions or obstacles get in your way. Your GPS is always turned on. Now, we turned off our car GPS out west. I think I told you. Car GPS kept saying, recalculate, recalculate. And our spiritual GPS doesn't do that. But it's persistent, even though we may be obstinate. That's me, not Oprah. Whether you're headed on the right track or about to take a destructive turn, your emotional guidance system lets you know. Every right decision I have made, says Oprah, and you may agree, has come from listening to my internal system. Every wrong decision was a result of me dismissing the small, still voice within. Our life speaks to us in whispers, that little nudge saying, doesn't feel right. And Georgia spoke so eloquently last week about her voice on her wedding day. Can you recall instances in your life where a little inside voice was saying, not the right person, not the right choice, not the right decision, and you just ignored it? Found out later to your chagrin that was the wrong choice. If you ignore it, the whispers turn into pebbles thrown at you, warning, there's a problem, danger ahead. If those signs remain unexamined, you will inevitably experience what feels like a heavy brick to the head. Shutting out the brick guarantees disaster will strike. Your real purpose on earth is to become more of who you really are. To live to the highest degree what is pure, what is honest, what is natural, what feels like the real you. You'll know you found it when every cell in your body vibrates with your own truth. When you're filled up by what you're doing instead of being drained by it. Follow your instincts. That's where true wisdom unfolds. And I want to just repeat one part of that I think is so meaningful, so poignant for all of us. Your real purpose on earth is to become more of who you really are. To live to the highest degree what is pure, what is honest, what is natural, what feels like the real you. Thanks to Oprah for that wisdom. And because we know that this is true, sometimes we do pay attention. And I have two stories that illustrate women who listened to the inner voice and it saved lives. The first was a woman. Thank you to Georgia. The first was a woman who had twin sons, and she wanted to take them to the park. Have you ever done that? Taken your children to the park, and she thought, oh, I'll give them time off, and we'll have a good day in the park. They were 7 years old. So she drove to the park, and as she got closer to the park, she saw that all the normal parking spots were filled up. She came to a curve in the road, and she thought, that might not be so safe, but where else can I park? So she parked in the curve. And then she said to her twin sons, now be very, very careful, because there might be cars coming, and you look both ways before you even get out of the car. So one of them got out of the car, and as his mother said, looked both ways, and he walked across, and a car came by, but he was by safely. The other one leaped out of the car and was ready to do what his brother did, and his mother hollowed, "Stop!" Fortunately, he did, because the car missed him by 1 foot. Now, her message to herself was, well, I didn't listen to that voice that said you shouldn't park here. The other was about my mother. And I may have shared, but I'll share it again. I was 4 years old, and my mother and my father were going to a party in Exeter. We were living in Seaforth. snow country, if you know anything about that area. Deep, deep, big snows. And my mother left me with my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandmother was quite loving. And I remember still vaguely lying on top of a radiator, those old radiators that they have, because I had sort of a stomach ache and it felt better just lying like that. Kids do that. I couldn't do it now. And my mother and my father went to the party, and my mother had a feeling. She had what she called instincts, very strong intuitions, ESP. You can call it many voices. We call it the God within. She called it ESP or instinct. And they were not at the party for very long. She said to my father, "We have to phone. I think there's something wrong with Pauline." He said, "Well, Mom's taking care of her. Don't fuss." She said, "No, I want to call." So she did. And my grandmother said, I heard all this later, "Well, oh, Pauline's fine. She's fine. She's okay." So my mother hung up the phone, and about half an hour later, she said to my father, "We have to go home. There's something wrong with Pauline." He said, "We just got here. Are you crazy?" Well, you don't say that to my mother. She said, "We are going home. Either you drive me or I'll get somebody else to drive me." They drove home. I was rushed to the hospital with a ruptured appendix. I would have died if my mother had not listened to her inner voice. Why don't we listen more? Because our ego gets in the way. Our ego. That internal compass that helps us sometimes takes a back seat to the ego. And when ego takes over the driving, we better watch out. And I want to give credit to the next notes that I have from Jenny Lee, who's a yoga therapist. Anybody here do yoga? Oh, quite a few people, and I know that Amelia does hot yoga. And you know that when you're doing the physical yoga, you're tuning in to a spiritual energy. And when I prepared these notes, I thought, when I did the research about ego, I thought, maybe it's time for me to start doing yoga, because these notes are so powerful. We can't escape ego. It comes with our territory. It's part of who we are as people. And it's our habits, our customs, our way of living. And sometimes it's just us and we need it. And I'm not here saying I'm egoless, far from it. As a speaker, as a professional speaker, I'm very aware of when ego steps into my head, and I have to bring myself back. And that's when I start to compare myself with other speakers, to try and compete, to be judgmental. Those are all ego-driven. Do you ever find yourself comparing unfavorably with other people? Maybe right here within Unity. Do you ever find yourself judging other people? Oh, well, why doesn't that person do that or that? Well, who gives us the right? Our ego says, "Oh, you know better. You know it all." We have to recognize who is in the driver's seat of our life at any given moment. Is it ego or is it divine inner energy? It's fairly easy to identify the ego, as it's usually the one running the show, and you see what happens here. Car crash. But for us, it might be an emotional crash. Projecting our feelings onto someone else, reacting like that. Well, why did they say that? Well, don't they know who they're talking to? That's ego. Manipulating, trying to instill guilt in other people. Ego. Overanalyzing. Worrying. Self-doubting. Feeling defensive and fearful. That's our ego. And if we let go, as Emilio sings so beautifully, and let God, we have that trusting faith in our inner spiritual source that allows us to move beyond ego and into a place of feeling trusting and confident and spiritually strong. Feeling separate and alone, chasing endless desires, ego. At the heart of our being, we're all unique, special, wonderful, beautiful people. Our inner self remains untouched by all the changes around us. The trouble is we become convinced that the whole of who we are is the exterior, when it's just the shell. It's the inside. The persona is just the vehicle for the self, and like a car running without its driver, the ego can spin out of control. So how do we get back the inner peace, the balance, the ease that is our birthright? How do we do that? We go to the silence. We practice mindful meditation, prayer, and lifestyle. And that may be easier said than done. We choose to step away from the turmoil. And if the turmoil is within our own mind, then we need to address that, to be real, to be honest with ourselves, and to say, who's causing all this turmoil? I've been taking Absolute Abundance, and Sylvia's been our wonderful leader for the last 2 weeks. And we had a big, long exercise about coming to terms with where we are and our resentments. And I'll talk more about that when I'm talking about forgiveness in November. But it's been a profound experience. Our ego causes us to blame everybody else if we're unhappy or miserable. It's not my fault because my mother was overprotective. That's why I'm the way I am. Well, no. No. We get to choose. We owe it to ourselves to let go of the past, even if it happened 1 minute ago, or a year ago, or 10 years ago. And that can be very hard. Way easier to blame other people. It's tough to say, me. It's me who needs to listen to my inner spiritual, energetic, positive, wonderful voice. It's me who can step into prayer and allow that voice to resonate in my heart so that I can be who I need to be for the world. It's not easy, but the rewards are bountiful. And Georgia does meditation. She does it here every week. We have meditation before the service begins. You can also do meditation on your own. In the song I love the song that Emilio chose. We see God in the trees and the mountains, in the birds, the butterflies, the seasons, the people in front of us, beside us. We can see God in every part. And whether you believe in, I'm not defining God for you. If you believe that there is a power inside you bigger than your ego, you can call it whatever you choose. It can be that powerful, energetic, inner presence that allows you to go beyond your doubts, your fears. You stretch above them and you leave them behind. And you're saying, oh, yay, I'm going to dance on the stage even though I can't dance like Emilio. You do whatever the Spirit is calling you to do. And if it's being spontaneous and loving and kind with someone just because Spirit is calling you to be so, then you do it. And to just not be so tough on yourself. I want to talk to you about something that is about bridging the ego distance and going into what is wonderful and beautiful. And when you realize that you have the power to do that, to step into the inner peace, the balance, the love, and you do have the power to do it, that is life transforming. That is your capacity to utilize what you have in you and to transform your life starting this moment. Will it be forever transformed? I wish. But each moment adds up. Accept the changes of life serenely. And there are changes. Someone you thought you loved abandons you, either physically or emotionally. And what can you do? That's where your inner power has to come to the fore, where your inner strength, your acceptance, your realization. I can't change that. To trust our core values. Our core values when we were about to make decisions. When we are with a group of people who may have totally different values, are we brave enough to either walk away or speak up for what we believe is right? To express unconditional love. What a phrase. What a phrase. That is so hard, but that is so releasing. If you want to read a fabulous book, Wayne Dyer, Manifest Your Destiny. And he talks about the power of unconditional love. And as we open our hearts to unconditional love, and somebody's frowning in the group, and they're probably thinking, well, I'm not going to unconditionally love Donald Trump, thank you very much. He says, love the essence. The essence. Not the external. I mean, you might love the external too. But to be open to that. Because as we open ourselves to unconditional love, we are letting go of all the ego stuff that I just talked about. The judging, the competing, the comparing. We can't unconditionally love and hold on to all that. Now, this is unconditional love. And you might say, well, I wish I was a little kid again when I could do that. But inside your heart is a small child. The child that's capable of expressing unconditional love. And it might be this volunteer in India with a translator expressing unconditional love. Do you have to go to India to do it? Absolutely not. There might be someone right here in your community, in our Unity London community. There may be someone right in this group that you can express unconditional love for. And it might be somebody who kind of bugs you a little bit. Does that happen here? Oh. Could be. You never know, because we're all human. So how do we move beyond ego into our spiritual GPS? Unconditional love. Steve Jobs said it, and I love this quote. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Has that ever happened? Maybe someone you know has a powerful voice. Maybe they have a lot of influence over you, and they're going one way and you're going the other way. Don't let their opinion drown out your inner voice. And I close with one of my very favorite authors. I like Jesus and I like the Bible, and I did look, but I couldn't find a quote that I liked enough that went with listen to your inner voice. So I found Shel Silverstein instead. There is a voice inside of you that whispers all day long, I feel this is right for me. I know that's wrong. No teacher, preacher, parent, friend, or wise man can decide what's right for you. Just listen to the voice that speaks inside. Just listen to your divine inner energy, your spiritual GPS that will take you places you can never imagine. And let us take this into meditation.
And now it's our time for giving and receiving your tithes and offerings. Let us affirm our prosperity together as our greeters pass the offering bags. If you
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest, who needs no introduction. Oh, we're going to give him one anyway. Let's hear it for our pal Emilio.
So this next song is by Karen Drucker called There Is Only Love, and I think it's so appropriate for this. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fears and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I've lost my way, I would go inside and quiet my mind, and I'd hear spirits say there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only, there is only love.
I invite you now to rejoice in the abundance that is within this room. Rejoice in the sharing of our gifts, our talents, our abundance. And rejoice in the whole feeling of being grateful.
And our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator.
the word.
Of what unity can offer, spread the word of the message that